Hey, this is Justin Sinceri. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist who is obsessed with the polyvagal theory. This is a clip from a discussion slash interview that I did with a small nursing support group. They asked me to come in and just talk about polyvagal theory, got to field some questions, and this is a clip from that. If you'd like access to the entire talk, consider becoming a patron. If you become a patron, it's only $5 a month, and with that $5 a month, you get access to an entire podcast that is exclusive just for patrons, besides my Stuck Not Broken regular weekly podcast. That's about it, though. Enjoy this clip. I think actionable steps is I don't know, actionable, but I think being curious is a good idea. And just really noticing what it's like to be you in certain contexts. So, like, when I go to hospitals, I'm really curious about how I feel because there's beeps and there's voices and there's carts and rolling around and it's all kinds of, yeah. So there's all these, it's like a flood of sensory information, and you may not stop and realize that, like, you're holding your breath a little bit because your body's picking up all these cues, and it's like, it feels like it's in danger, and your job is literally stressful and life or death, so that makes sense. But I think it's important to slow down enough to recognize, like, how do I feel right now when I'm around this person or in this environment or with this sound? And if you have an opportunity to be in a quiet space, like, check in with how that feels. You might have that flight fight energy just lingering, and still the breathing might be shallow. And so, like, consciously make the attempt to slow your breathing. If you can slow your breathing down, that means you're safe, and that's going to actually activate those pathways. That's a good thing. You want to activate those pathways, and you might have to do that by consciously just slowing your breathing down on the exhale. That will kick on that parasympathetic system, the safety parasympathetic system. Goodness gracious. All this stuff is edited out of the podcast. That's why you don't hear me stumble upon my own words. So yeah, I think that's an actionable step. Just slow down. Like, just notice how it feels to be you in different contexts. Notice how it feels like to be you at home in one room versus another. Because, like I said, this room is way different than the rest of my house. But one room might have more of an echo, and that might affect your system differently. Notice how you feel when you're cooking dinner. If you cook dinner, I hate cooking. But notice, what you feel like when you're smelling a lemon. Like, make the effort to do that, though. Like, consciously use your senses and come to the present moment, and just, like, notice, like, how does that affect my breathing? Am I more or less likely to smile when I do this or that? I know for me, I hate cooking, but I like to grill, and when I'm grilling, I feel good. When I'm cooking in the kitchen, I can't stand it. So I think that's a step: is become curious, notice what it feels like, and then whenever you notice that works for you, do more of it. Mindfully. You have to really feel it, though. You have to really pay attention and feel it. And then the things that don't work for you, ask, like, is there something I can do to change this? Is there and at work, there might not be a whole lot. But at home, where you have control over the environment, there might be a lot you can do there. And I think simple things like cleaning up clutter, that can go a long way. It might not be a bad thing, but it's just recognize. So laundry for you might be generally a no. Maybe there's something you can change. Like, maybe it doesn't have to have that strong deadline. Like, that could be an alteration you make, and then you say, well, how do I feel about it now? For me, I don't like it, but when I'm doing it, I kind of don't mind it. And there is something zen-like or peaceful about knowing things are just so, and it fits in the drawer and they're all stacked up nicely or lined up. We do the Marie Kondo method where they're all lined up. So I think that's actionable steps that are pretty simple. They don't cost any money. You just got to be more curious about what's going on within you just throughout the day, and noticing what brings you to safety and what do you feel pulled toward and what do you feel repelled from. I think that's a pretty good gauge. What makes you smile more than something else? What brings you a lighter sense of breathing? Those are pretty easy gauges of kind of where to head. That's brilliant. Like, these different states, the one thing that works in one state might not work for the other state. When I'm in a shutdown place where I'm, like, really just kind of like the energy sucked out of me, I just want to sit quietly in the corner. And I'm good. Like, I can do that for like 5-10 minutes. And if I can mindfully do that and really feel it, the energy starts to come back in my system. And then my mind will come up with a story or an explanation or a clue as to what to do next. And so it might be, I like to swim. And if I have a lot of sympathetic energy, swimming is a good outlet for me. My mind will tell me, it's time to swim. So I go swim. It's time to play with the kids. I'll go play with the kids. It's time to do some push-ups. I'll do push-ups. Like whatever my mind tells me is the next step, I pretty much trust as long as I have access to the thing, you know. So if I'm in that fight state, push-ups are perfect because it utilizes the top half muscles. It's perfect. If I'm in more of an anxious flight state, go out for a walk might be helpful because you're utilizing your legs, and if you can mindfully do so and feel it, that could be helpful. And then I might be ready to go hug the kids and socially engage or pet the dog and look at them in the eyes. So each state will have a different sort of impulse to it as to what can be helpful. If I'm in a shutdown state and like really just drained, hitting a punching bag is not going to do a whole lot for me. It's going to feel like I can't handle that. It's too much. Yeah. So it's really listening to these states. I mean, the more adept you get, the more like aware I guess you get. You can start to identify like when I smell a lemon, that works for me in this state. When I punch something, that works in this state. When I just when I'm sitting quietly, that works in this state, or when I'm playing with my kids or whatever it is. These things appeal to different polyvagal states, not the same one, you know, not the same activity for everyone. It just might be. So now next time you notice that, you might ask yourself, like, how do I feel right now? Do I feel more like hitting somebody or running away? Don't do it. Don't hit anybody. But you get the idea. Like when I go swimming, like when it's time to, like when I have that more of that fight energy, I will stand there in the water and just like use my muscles to like push water, and I feel it. And then I'll be like, oh, that feels like it was enough. And then I'll start just kicking my legs and swimming. You know, underwater, I'll kick my legs and I can feel that energy come out. And then the next step is, well, up the ladder would be social engagement. And by that time, I'm ready to play with the kids in the water and have a good time. But like I listen to, even in the water, like how do I want to move? How does my body want to move in this moment to get that energy out or discharge it? Yeah, so it's perfect. Swimming by myself is one thing, but when I have the kids out there to play with and socially engage with, and it's way different. Pets are awesome. Dogs are awesome. Totally, yeah. Dogs are fantastic co-regulators because they do really well with their own self-regulation as long as they have, you know, their needs met and they can move around and have enough space to run and whatnot. Like they're really good co-regulators. They're so good at that. And it's, I don't know if you believe this, but dogs seem to like know how you're doing and they'll like rest their head on you. And it seems like, I don't know, it seems like they kind of get it. The animals are really good at that, of just listening to what they need. They don't have all of our conscious thoughts. As best I can tell, they don't have all the stuff that we do, you know, to ourselves and to each other. They just exist in their bodies in the moment. Simplified. Life simplified.